Hi everybody and welcome to VCN. I'm Riley Harvey and this is the Thursday night PRT handicap race. For those who are new to the platform, new to the handicap race, the way the handicap race works is that everybody has their power kind of normalised, try and bring everyone's power down to 3.2 watt per kilogram so that everyone throughout the race can have a really challenging event. The elite riders the elite riders effectively get an anchor tied to the back of their bike, and the guys who are possibly a little bit less able, who don't ride as frequently, haven't got as much power in the tank, those guys get a little fan strapped to the back and they get to go faster. The idea is that everyone can compete together and have a fantastic time racing on the RGT platform. To work out your weight adjusted for the event, you take your FTP, preferably a fairly recent one, and you divide that by 3.2. That will give you your weight to add into the game. This is the only event on RGT, on any of the virtual cycling platforms, where it's acceptable to weight dope. Don't do it any other time. Make sure that you return your weight to normal after the event, but this is the one where you can do that and nobody will penalise you, nobody will question you for it. So crack on, have some fun, enjoy the racing. I'm going to talk you through it all, give you the inside track on all the riders that are taking part, and hopefully give you a bit of background on some of the riders as well, and just hopefully keep you entertained. In other news, very quickly, we've released this week that VCN are going to be running VCN Nationals and World Championships in RGT. Big news, big event, there's going to be thousands of people, hopefully, taking part. We're going to run Nationals on the weekend of, I think it's the 20th of March, should have checked the dates before it came live, and the following weekend we're going to be running the Worlds. So the national qualifiers, I think it's 5 people from those are going to go forward to the Worlds. Get on board, jump in. Even if you don't think yourself you're going to be able to compete and get through those national stages, you can get in there and you can help one of your friends, someone that you know, and you can give them a chance. You can be their wheel to propel them forward and be part of their team to take part in this great event. We've also got the O-Crit series, which starts next Wednesday. It won't be televised or streamed currently, but it's going to be a fantastic, guaranteed fast lap series, something to get your teeth into and to burn off a few calories. I'm still trying to lose a bit of my Christmas weight, so I probably should be doing some riding, but instead I'm talking about it. Going to take us down to the track and we'll see who's there, see who's going to be competing tonight, and I'll see if I can pick out a winner for us tonight. And let's get down there, and first off, we've got Relive. Cerberus of Corfe. There's 3 main climbs coming into this one. 410 meters of elevation, so it's a little bit lower than some of the races that we've done recently in the handicap, but the climbs are loaded towards the beginning of the circuit. So what that's going to mean is that the heavier riders are going to be penalized at the beginning. The lighter riders are going to, the ones that benefit from the weight reduction, they're going to be getting way off the front of the course, and they're going to be zooming off, and it's very possible that we'll have a race of 2 parts here, where we'll have the lighter riders taking off at the front and the heavier riders behind them chasing on in the second half of the race. But 26 seconds left to go there. Just going to try and find one of the real riders we're going for. That got Ian Hurst on the front line there, Stuart Ludlow, Blue PRT. Carolina is one of the bots that I keep on getting stuck with on this section. So let's see where we get to now. As soon as the race launches now, and there we go, rider off the front. That's Will Usher. Wow, Will making a rocket start to this race now. Being chased there by Chris Bancroft. Darren Ray at the front end of this race as well. Darren been racing very well in these races. He's taking the lead into these early hills. And we've got the Cassandra, one of the real bots, one of the RGT real bots. These guys are really making an impression. It's a relatively new feature for RGT, is these real bots, but they are responding to the riders within the game. I believe that they have got AI, and they are learning from each race that takes place. They're learning, and they're figuring out how they should attack, when they should attack, and what sort of moves they should make. But Cassandra here kicking off at the front, and we're not going to follow Cassandra for too long because I think Cassandra may well be weight doping. Cassandra, I think you could find yourself being disqualified from this event. Worth noting, guys, that the another 2 bots going flying through there. They're definitely weight doping, these bots. They don't understand the rules. They've not read them. Worth noting, guys, Willisher, who is the organizer of this event, and a fantastic guy, does a lot of effort to popularize RGT, to get people involved with it. He goes through the results after the event. We are normalized to 3.2. It can be difficult, tricky to get your FTP and weight perfectly right, and everyone has slightly different FTPs depending on whether they're doing climbing efforts or seated efforts, etc, etc. So he goes through and checks the results for everyone at the end of the event. And you know, there are occasions when people get disqualified. We look at it more along the lines of that people have perhaps not read the rules, or have just been a little bit unsure, and maybe they've had a cracking race and they've just pushed over what they normally would. So come back, race again next week with a revised weight. See, Andre Fugurara, after Sergio Saldana's told me how to pronounce the name. I cannot get my tongue around it at all, so it's Andre Fugurara. There, trying my best with that one. If you hear me murdering your name at any point through the streams, do feel free to get in touch and tell me that I'm murdering your name and how I should pronounce it, and I'll give it a go. You see Matt Barker there, moving forward. We've got the first 4 positions held by bots at the moment, but they're suffering on this hill. Matt Barker's moving forward. Margot there, Andre Fugurara. Darren's been experimenting with his slope intensity to try and get his hill climbing a little bit more natural. Slope intensity is a feature in many of the cycling platforms. On RGT, I can tell you that what it basically does is increases the size of your cassette, your rear cassette on your bike. So for myself, my bike is geared up mainly for the flatlands. A lot of the hills that I encounter in the RGT world would make my knees explode. So I change my slope intensity down a little bit. Rather than having it at 100%, I bring it down to around about 80%. And that, for me, seems to change my 28 on the rear to around about 32. That's how it feels. You can play about with the slope intensity. You can change it as much as you like, because the slope intensity does not change the amount of power that you need to produce to get up these hills. All it does is mean that you can produce it slightly more comfortably without damaging or injuring yourself. Instead of doing 1 pedal revolution to travel a meter, you have to do 2 or 3 pedal revolutions and produce the same amount of power. Yeah, Robbo there, Reynolds flying past. And then we see Chris Bancroft and Will Usher here. I have a feeling that Chris and Will may be talking to each other on the Discord group. There is a Discord group for the PRT events. It's mentioned on many of the, well, all of the literature really for it, and on the in-game description. Chris, fantastic rider, does well in these events. Will, really good rider as well. Will tends to be a little bit of a cagey rider. He sits in the draft and has a phenomenal sprint on him. He will come from behind you in the finishing straight and murder you. The should have checked in actually. He did destroy his Wahoo bike the other week. I'm presuming it's been repaired since then. Blew some of the bolts out of the bottom of that with the amount of power he was pushing out. So I have a feeling that these two guys are just going to take it easy on these climbs at the beginning, and then in that latter half of the race they are going to unleash holy hell and chase down the guys in front of them. You can see that they're not too far away actually after that climb descent. Drop back a little bit further on the road. Do try and name check everybody as we're going through, but can't help but miss some now and again. See Guy Hepner there, Kent, Lagula Apio, Stuart Ludlow as well, Lomanda, and that's Richard Akers there, Richard Riak just gone through. Richard won the PRT race around about 3 weeks ago now, and I think he's carried a bit of a weight penalty since then. He was carrying some weight at the time, but upped it since he won. Stuart's just dropping off the back of that group there a little bit. Shannon the bot. Yulty, 26th position. And we've got Huff, Strong, Jones, Rhea Usher, and Mauro Desault. Now you see Desault there, he's put his weight in after his name, just in case there's any concerns about how much he weighs there. He's made it clear to everyone. A couple more bots, and we got Lou Gelling, Rosethorn, Mizuraka, Rizuchek there from the Moon Riders. Rizuchek is part of the Moon Riders team. I've been covering some of their Heroica series, which takes part in the European and Pacifica time zones on the Tuesdays. But it's also on Thursdays in the Americas time zones, very late night UK, early, well, reasonable time America. Feely there, and we see Wayne. Missed Wayne at the beginning there. Wayne's usually one for the Wayne train. He's got a fantastic acceleration off the start line. He usually puts off a good 1,000-watt sprint at the beginning there. I suspect he'll be one of the riders towards the end enjoying that green section, perhaps not enjoying the hill sections as much. See Muzz there, Anton Wouters, Williams, Goodfellow, Matthew, Ursula, Andrew Jones a bit further back on the course, Barry Wilson, and then Bev. Oh, Barry just having a drop out there as we're watching him. It's unfortunate. He's looking like he's dropped out there completely at the moment. We'll come back to Barry. Hopefully he gets back underway. See Steve Strubschall just coming through there. Further back on the course, we've got Tom Smith. The Team Lou colours. Johnson. Robin Druitt. Rob G. Ian Hurst. Oh no, I'm going to have to stop looking at people. They're having issues as I look at them. The Gui there. Paredes. A bit further back on the course, we've got Shanley. Sondergaard. Spoons. Really see there because I was going through the trees, unfortunately. Plano. And then last real rider on the course, we've got Almeida there. fly back through the course there, just see if Ian Hurst and Ian's still stopped there. I did speak to Ian last week, and I'm not sure if that's a planned stop. He was concerned a little bit about his knee when I'd spoken to him. I thought it was okay, but perhaps he's having further issues with that. He was just doing some races and just oh, sorry, no, it was Robin who'd had a problem with his knee. My apologies. Hopefully Ian Hurst will be up and running again soon. Barry, good to see Barry's managed to get moving. See Steve there. Steve, I think, is carrying around about 20 to 25 kilos in this race. So these earlier climbs going up at 5% to 7% now are really going to be making him consider his life choices, shall we say. Being friends with Will Usher is a life choice that many of us have thought about over the years. Doing these races, we're going up to 17% now at this moment in time. Steve, sinews are twanging, knees are popping, 22.4% on this incline now. It looks like some of the riders up in front have actually stopped still, but no, that's just 23.4% of gradient, and that's what it does to you. It looks like somebody's put the anchors on. Steve kicking out 380 watts of power now. Crawl up this. Cadence dropped down a little bit, 44. 43, that could be something that I was talking about earlier on with the slope intensity. Perhaps maybe needs to just knock it back a little touch to give himself some more virtual gears there. And ease as we're going 22% now, but we're nearing the end of this little punishing climb. Gradient drops to a much more pleasant 19 degrees now. Sure Steve will enjoy me focusing on him as we come up this climb when he's watching this back. 350 watts of power. Grinding it out, and the gradient easing now, gradually dropping down. Under 14%. This will feel like luxury. Feel like the flat after that 22-degree section. Easing down rapidly. Coming into the orange section. Incidentally, for anyone else that is watching and is fairly new to the platform, there is a full profile shown across the bottom of the screen there. As you've probably already figured out, the red sections are the painful sections. That's where the gradients are up above around about 5%. They go red, and orange sections are more sort of 2 to 4, 5%, and then the green sections are up to 2%. Blues and purples are the descending sections. Steve there being kept company by some of these new real bots. See Feely and Bev Usher just not making the contact with a small group in front of him. Ursula, Wayne and Andrew Jones. Wayne and Ursula going through on Andrew there and carrying on. Who's taking it steady. Pulling the wheel. Zuchek, Muzz, Matthew, see Williams, Wooters, Stout, and Goodfellow. Mizuraka kind of no man's land. You see Ray Usher there with Stuart Ludlow and Rose Thorne. I think it's Harriet's Rose Thorne there. The companionship as they just come up to Wheel of Nakia, the knockoff Nokia robot. And they're closing in on Zumeko there. See, Lou seems to have made a little bit of progress there, catching up with Richard Akers. Lou Gelling holding the wheel of Richard Akers there and gaining a massive watt saving, 820 watts, as they close in on Mauro Bresciani. Result there, coming on this descent. I do have the chat window open, guys. If any of you watching the stream want to send in a message, wanting me to focus in on any of the particular riders, want any bits of information about RGT, Magic Roads, or any of the courses, give me a shout, and I'll read your question out and hopefully answer it live on air. As Richard just puts in a little bit of an effort there to come over a lump and has distanced Lou. We'll see whether he manages to keep that gap open. He's closing in on Marina now. Just while we're on Richard there, Richard runs the REAC coaching group, and REAC are quite big on RGT. They're offering now 3 free coaching sessions. So I think one of those is a lead cycling session, coach-led cycling session. One of them is a strength session, and I think one might be a yoga session or something like that. But they're all detailed. They've just released that they're doing that this week on the RGT user group, which is on Facebook. Great group to be part of. There's lots of information goes through there on races. There's also a bit of help and support there. Find our feeds listed there, and also on our own VCN Facebook page. A little bit of the publicising of ourselves now. We are VCN, V Cycling News. We have a Facebook page, we have a YouTube page, we have Twitter, we have Twitch. If you're on any of those platforms, if you could like, subscribe, if you think any of your friends would enjoy watching this racing, share it out to them. Just having that kind of bit of additional following gives us a bit more enthusiasm and keeps us interested in providing content for all you guys, which we love doing. We do it for enjoyment. It's part of the fun for us. Go through Kent, Ben Lowe there. Ben's had some fantastic races over the last couple of weeks. Been marred by some micro drops that he's had, very briefly dropping out on the platform, but hopefully sorted those out for this week. 25th position now, and pushing hard. I think that's Darren Ray just coming up the outside there. Good blast, gains himself 4 positions, 5 positions with that sprint up this climb. Goes past Jones, onto Bancroft, as if they're all standing still there. Eased a little bit there, and Matt Jones paced the climb a little bit more. Comes around. So Chris Bancroft there, no longer with Will Usher. Will's made a break for freedom. He's gone past Strong, and he's up in 20th position now. In front of him, the bot of Carolina there, and then just in front of them there's Andre Fugara. Andre, I've been chatting with Andre a little bit after the streams in the chat, and Andre was doing fantastically well last year. had a little bit of a break over winter and lost some of his form. I think Andre is currently carrying a 2 kilogram weight penalty into these races, which makes him an overall weight of around about 94 kilograms. That's quite a lump to get up these climbs. More of the physique of a flatlands rider or a time trialist, but he does do that. He gets up and over these and is competing every week, which is great to see. And also, if I'm not mistaken, he won the Combativity prize last week, which again, for those who aren't aware of the PRT races, you can win the races. That's obvious. There is a podium, but the main prize for all the riders that are going through this event is the Combativity Award. The Combativity Award is voted for in the Discord channel and the WhatsApp channel straight after the race, or even sometimes during. And it is basically, it's the rider who has done something phenomenal during the race. So that can be towing one of their friends for the entire race. It can be easing for somebody who's had a power drop to help them get back into the pack. It could be making a bridge from one group to another that looked like it was impossible to do. But that's voted for, and that's the main prize. To win the Combativity prize is what everyone's really racing for in this event. We see Will Usher on the crest of the second to last climb now, pushing, working with Ferrara perhaps, Fugara, up over the top of this climb. Will just marking his man there. And in the effort just before we get to the crest to make sure he's on the wheel and enjoying maximum drafting benefit as we start this descent. You can see there Will currently enjoying around about 50 watts of drafting benefit. As we go down, you can see how it's rapidly increasing, 220 watts there. Andre Fugara is pushing on the descent just into a flat section now. The next rider, D'Angelo, which is one of the team real bots, just in the distance there. And these two riders will easily catch D'Angelo as we're on this descent. They're just cruising, just enjoying the descent there into a little bit of climb, pushing over that. There's a Robot there, looking like it's perhaps had a small drop there. Maybe he was just waiting for the next group on the road, pushing to make sure he stays in contact with these two riders. Go forward a few riders, check in with Guy Hepner. David Brooker's in there, Fennelly, 14th position. Buelty there further forward. Guy Hepner in on his wheel. Reynolds up in 8th position. Fly forward, find out who's leading the race now. Akia, Pio, Matt Barker there. Jay Brown, Brune, Bonk, and we've got Abramanka front there. Portuguese rider, Cabramanca. I think there's a possibility. I'm not sure Cabramanca is power levels are looking a little bit high there for Cabramanca. I'm not entirely sure they've adjusted their weight correctly for this event. It will be reviewed, as I say, at the end of the event. We'll just go through and check back, make sure that the riders have been applying the correct weights as they go through. Hi to Matthias Fishback on the stream there. Thanks for checking in. Hope you're enjoying the coverage of the race. Hope you're enjoying me waffling constantly. Not seen you racing as much just recently, Matthias. It'd be great to see you back in the event. Oh, I hope you're not in here. I've not seen you as I've been flying through on the rider cam. Checking in with Bonk there from Sweden. Swedish rider in second place. Just coming up to the crest of the final climb. There's a little bit of rolling terrain after this, but this is the last of the significant climbs. Brunette. Matthias, just saying he's having a little break from the racing at the moment. I think he can do us all good to occasionally have a break from pushing our bodies to the limit. And they do recommend that for training, is that you have a training period and then perhaps have a period of lighter efforts to allow your body to repair and recover, and you come back even stronger. Hopefully that's the idea of that. Brown, 5th position. You may tell by that vagueness there, I'm not a coach. I don't do much coaching. I do a little bit of racing, very non-competitively, and I do a lot of community and social riding. PRT is Precision Race Team, and if you're interested in coaching at all, then reach out to Will. He does do coaching at a very good level and well worth looking into if you're looking for gains in your cycling career. I look for gains in other places and supplements and nutrients that I can take. I'm not entirely sure that they work, but it's better than drinking beer all the time. Nakia Apio there and Matt Barker locked together, 6th and 7th. I'll go bottom. Buff. Team DHC. Guilty. Reynolds. David Brookhausen and Guy Hepner. Now I would say that these two riders will be ones to watch when this race is leveling out. Certainly Guy there, who looks like he's already distancing David, but David's got a fantastic amount of power. I'm sure he'll reel Guy back in before the crest of this climb. Guy and David always up at the front of these races by the finish line, challenging. Not necessarily winning all the time, but always there or thereabouts. David just not responding to this surge of power by Guy there. Guy up at 3.6 watts per kilogram. He's kicking out 325 raw watts there. Again, just going back to the watts per kilogram and the raw watts. The powers are normalized to 3.2 watts per kilogram. That's the plan. That's the idea. With that normalization, watts per kilogram, this guy's just coming up on Reynolds there, reeling him, and David Brookhausen putting some effort down now, putting some red watts out. As Reynolds sees Guy catching him, he's just put a bit of a kick in to make sure he stays with him. and David Brookers, and just steadily reeling the pair of them back in now. Sorry, going back to the watts per kilogram. Watts per kilogram really affects you on the hills. So in order to have an accurate handicap race, you need to have hills in the race. So every handicap race you'll see, well, I say every, the majority of the handicap races you'll see have significant climbs in them. One race that we did in recent times to just try and work something different was the Tempelhof circuit, where the plan was that the curves and the constant braking from the curves would allow the lighter riders and the ones with the handicap, that would work the same as the hills. But effectively your watt per kilogram affects you on the hills, your raw watts doesn't really. So when you're looking at the guys putting out the watts per kilogram on the climbs, you can compare them one like for like. It's done in a ratio to how much weight they've got. If they've got a higher watt per kilogram, they're going to go up the climb faster. When we're on the flatter section, which we're approaching now, which Guy is going to drop into very shortly, what matters then is the raw watts in the top left hand corner. The beauty of having wheels underneath you is that the weight does not really affect you that much. Once you're on the flat and you've got wheels underneath you, you will roll, and that's where the raw watts count more. We see David and Reynolds there put in 190, 200 meter gap on Guy there as they've just gone onto this descent. Guy solo, that's going to be a big distance for him to overhaul. If you keep watching on the raw watts, top left hand corner, once we're on this flatter section, those are the guys that are going to be going faster. When you're on the flats, ignore the watt per kilogram. It doesn't give you an accurate representation. See Guy there, he's just shut all the power off at the moment. Heart rate creeping up slightly, even though he's eased. There we go, he's just crashing down now. Down from 140 to 133, and then the power goes back on. His heart rate coming straight back up again. And we're up at 530 watts now. Guy powering through this short, flatter section before we're entering into another descent. Not wanting to let the riders in front, not wanting to let David and Reynolds get too far in front of him. So before these riders get too far into the flat section and too close to the finish line, because it will come around quite quickly once they're grouped up on the flats and working together, I'll go back through the other riders on the course. A little group in here: Strong, Usher and Bancross. Data there, just little gap opened up on him, but back with the pack there now. They stay together. It'll be an interesting group to watch to see who's got the final power on the sprint. Just briefly there, Matthias has mentioned how a team's organised on RGT and how might people join. So the teams on RGT, the main ones around, we've got the pedal airs, the OTR, Lose team, Moon Riders. So basically these are frequent riders in the main on RGT, frequent group riders in the main RGT. They tend to have their own Facebook pages. So if you're interested in joining up with one of these teams, it is generally just as simple as finding their Facebook page and hitting join. And I certainly know I'm involved in Lose team quite frequently. With Lose team, you join up, there's normally in the announcements some of the events that they're going to take part in, and somebody will kind of give you a nudge, do you fancy taking part in this, and you can then choose which events you go into. There is on RGT DB the ability to become signed in the background to one of these teams, but That's a secondary thing, really. That's more for where your results get counted in team events. Yeah, so joining a team is normally just as simple as finding the Facebook page and joining up. If you know somebody from one of the teams that you want to join, reach out to them on Facebook or Messenger and ask them for an introduction. And again, similar sort of thing. If you're interested in joining up for a team for, say, the Tour de Monde that's just occurred, and it's coming to a close on RGT now. If you'd wanted to join up with a team for that, there was the Discord group for the general RGT Discord group, and there was people asking for teams for people to join their teams through there. So that it's around if you look for it. Just might not be quite as obvious. It's not something that's supported in RGT just as yet. I think maybe some people might have noticed that underneath the rider names on the left hand side, we've got Margot showing at the moment, and she shows up as Team RealBot. We are expecting that at some point in the future, in one of the near releases, that will become available to everybody, and if you are in a team, you'll be able to enter your team name in there. So for example, Team PRT or Team Lou. And we have debated and thought about what might also come along with that, which is that, you know, there's potential for having team only chat. There's also potential for having team only draft, where you could have teams doing team time trials on the same course at the same time, but not affecting each other. There's a big waffle there for you, Matthias. I hope that helped. If anybody is interested in any more information on anything that I mention in the stream, if you reach out to us on the VCN Facebook page, either myself or Mike, who are the main guys at VCN, we'll try and elaborate and expand and help as much as we can in any way that we can. See Matt Jones there just being caught up by Ben Lowe. All the riders now trying to Matt giving us a wave, or maybe it's a wave to Ben, that one. All the riders now trying to find somebody to work with on these flatter sections before they undoubtedly attempt to drop them towards the end of the race. So we'll fly back quickly now. I've got Fenley in 19th, Richard, Akers there, Zumeko, Robbo, 23rd. We've got a group of Kent and Goodfellow. And then we've got Lou. She's gained from, I think, 30th second position earlier on up to 27th with D'Angelo. Misaraka there. Williams and Darren Ray. Williams putting in a big effort here. Big push. Darren going with him though. They're trying to bridge up to Misaraka there up in front. Darren not willing to let Williams go. They've opened up a little bit of a gap on Anton Wouters there. Anton's just steadily pegging them back. Stuart Ludlow, same. Just took an easier pace there and brought it back in. Darren's slipping into the draft of Anton Wouters there. Rolls through and over the top. And into the draft of Misarako and Lou there. Lou, a slightly lighter rider, would do well to stick with this group and get in those wheels. See her just putting on a bit of a blast there to make sure she stayed in those wheels, keeps the draft. It's just slightly distance there. Group a bit further back on the road, we've got Harriet Rosethorn, Desault, Moro, and Ray Arusha. Muzz, a bit further back in 37th. Zuchek, the group of Ursula, Andrew there, Andrew Jones. Stout, that's company with a couple of bots there. Steve Shrubsall, now on the flatter sections and enjoying this section as he's powering his way back up the field. 43rd position now, putting out 305. Ooh. Going up to 325 watts for a moment there. Stout Wayne, again, another rider enjoying the slightly flatter sections. Not quite sticking to the wheel of Steve, though. I think these 3 riders might work together to get back to Steve's wheel. Bit of Usher. Back with one of the bots. Boy, a little bit no man's land. All right, Almeida. Then we've got Barry Wilson after his brief power drop earlier on. Robin Druitt a bit further back. Tom Smith, they've grouped up together. Rob G, 65th position. And then we've got Johnson, 67th, and we've got Sondergaard in 69th. I think that's the last of the real riders. I'm going to fly back up to the front of the race. Cabramanca there, still pushing out a high watt per kilogram. He's up at 4.4 watts per kilogram. Even on the flatter sections here, I would say that for the length of time that he's been putting that power out, he is likely to have been over the threshold for this event. Going up to 5.1 watts per kilogram. Just Matthias saying that was a good waffle about the teams, and that's helped him with his understanding. So no problem, Matthias, anytime. Gives me something to talk about during the stream. We drop back from Cabramanca because I'm not sure that they've got their weight right in this race. The bonk there. I think this may well be the front of the race here with Bonk in second place on the numbers, but there'll be post-race checks on the figures. Cabramanca there, and we'll have a look at who's first and second on the race. As I say, doesn't really matter that much because the Combativity Award is the one that matters. If you've seen anybody that you think is worthy of that Combativity Award, then please do shout up. The Brunei there in third position. They're close to a kilometre behind Bonk, but they've got Brown chasing, get to their wheel, like Gear just behind them, and then Matt Barker not too far behind them. Brown gets up to the wheel, Brunei, and goes straight through. Brunei puts in a little bit of an effort. Whether he'll manage to just get into the draft pocket there of Brown. See Matt Barker and Laguerre there just behind, chasing on. Brunei surprisingly rolls straight over the top there. That might just be a little bit of inexperience with the drafting pocket and the size. Brunei has gone into the lead and given Brown their wheel, and Brunei's just putting in a bit more effort again and trying to keep in front of Brown. Perhaps not racing as tactically as they could be here. Seeing Barker and Aguirre, they're steadily closing the gap. They're going to make the catch shortly. Barker and Laguerre only a 14-metre gap now. Start seeing the drafting benefit as that Barker gets the draft pocket, 75 watts draft saving, and he's going to sit in behind these riders. He's racing a bit more cannily there. I think he knows he's unlikely to get to the second place rider on the road, so he's going to sit in on these riders. Save some watts, make sure that he's got energy for the sprint, overhaul these these group of riders when he's in sighting distance of the line. Just a quick mention of the Precision Rewards. We run a trailer for that at the beginning of the stream. Not everyone's on at the very beginning of the stream. Precision Rewards, run by Precision Race Team, is a way of everybody getting discounts on many of the top brands and suppliers' products. And you can get those discounts for free by signing up at Precision Rewards. I'll play the trailer at the end of the stream for anyone who's interested, or you can head over to the Precision Race Team website and find out the details from there. Effectively, you just give your email address and then you can access a load of codes for discounts off Talk Nutrition, Hue wetsuits, You Perform supplements, all sorts of stuff there. And if you wanted more discounts, if you had a particular purchase, large purchase that you had in mind, you can pay to access higher discounts within the structure and make your purchase. You can reduce your membership back down after you've done that. The membership's around about £7 a month, so on some of the purchases it's a no-brainer really. You can make that back in the one purchase and get yourself a big saving off a Specialized bike or Wahoo on there as well. So we're just going up to the front of the race. We're going to see Cabramaca coming over the line in first position. I've gone through the Flamme Rouge. $660 meters left. Oh, drop down rapidly now. Now got just over 400 meters left to the finish line. 489 meters of elevation. Some of the elite athletes in this race carrying upwards of 20 kilograms. I quite often try and equate that into easy terminology for everyone. That's the equivalent of getting a full-size sack of potatoes, one of those big ones from the wholesalers, and strapping it to your back and then going out on a very challenging ride. It takes a bit of effort, so that's how this race works. The elite riders have that sort of a weight penalty to contend with, and that helps to level them up with the rest of the riders on the field, and it makes it better for everyone. It means that the less able riders like myself, are more in the competition, feel like you've got a chance of winning this race. And it's the same for the elite riders. They're forced to be part of the competition, and they don't just go off the front of the race and don't see anyone for an hour. I see Bond coming over in second place. They'll be close to the boundary, I think, Bonk, but they're going to be, everything's going to be analysed at the end of the race. We see now Laguerre, Brown, Brunet, Matt Barker, just a little bit deep on the drafting pocket there, Matt, as we've got 1.1 kilometre left to go in this race. Matt, see what drafting benefit is, picking up 90 watts saving there, 100 watts as he goes under the Flamme Rouge. Now, is this going to be a tactical masterclass from Matt Barker as he... Brunet is going early. Brunet is going from this point. That's Brunet, cards in. He's gone for a long one. He's gone. Matt Barker's seen it. He's chasing him down. He's not going past him. He's going to sit on his wheel, and Brunet is going to have to put a fantastic amount of effort in here now to snap the elastic back to Barker and to drop Barker from that drafting pocket. But now the dynamics have changed. Is Laguerre going to come through with a last minute sprint as Matt Barker goes, distance himself from Brown? He's right on the wheel of Brunet here, enjoying the maximum drafting benefit. Brunet still up at 5 watts per kilogram.
He's doing well to hold our power for this length of time. Now Matt Barker's going. Matt Barker's going 7 watts per kilogram. He's seen Brunet fade. Didn't want the other riders coming back to his wheel. 6.5 watts per kilogram. He's now only 100 meters left to go. He's clear. He's got 3rd position on the road. Very well and tactically raced there from Matt as Brunet comes through in 4th position. Brown chasing on, and they've dropped Laguia now. And very well tactically raced by Barker there as he came through the last 5 kilometers. We've got this group now. Buelty on the front, David Broekhuizen, he's going to be one to watch there. As David Broekhuizen puts in his effort, he's going 160 meters left to go. Being chased by Reynolds. I think Reynolds may have left it too late. Broekhuizen goes through. Reynolds coming in behind him. Huff. Buelty. Andre Ferrara. He's being chased down by Will Usher now. And Chris Bancroft. Chris Bancroft comes through and over the top. Will goes over the top of Chris. They've still got 400 meters left to race. Oh, this is going to be an interesting battle between these two. Chris Bancroft goes early. Chris has gone early. He's challenging Will. Up at 7 to 8 watt per kilogram. I think he's done it. I think Chris has just timed it right. Will's eased off. Chris is gone. Chris has opened a gap up. He's still going at 7 watts per kilogram. Shuts it off just before the line. Will comes through in 12th position. Andre Ferrara. Fugara. In 13th. Strong. 14th position. Ben Lowe. Good racing from Ben coming through in 15th position. 130 meters left to go as he opens up mini sprint, shakes the legs free, comes home safe in 15th position. Oh, another little battle here as we've got Jones, Richard Akers and Zimeco there. Oh, who's going to win this one? It looks like Richard Akers has got it. Zimeco's just... Oh, I think Richard Akers got it. Zimeco and Jones. Oh. Some good tight racing tonight. Very tight. Fennelly, 20th position. Got 110 meters on Kent. Finally now. ...180 meters. Finish line is in sight. Kent, Margot Goodfellow, Darren Ray having a good battle behind. Fennelly is safe in 20th position. We're going to drop back to the battle behind though. As Goodfellow takes the lead in this group. And the sprints are all opening up. Kent goes through. Oh, too close to call. Anton Wouters, I think, just got that. Oh, Harriet Rosethorn's coming through, breaking away from their group. Lou PRT is giving chase. Oh, it's Anton Wouters, Goodfellow, Williams and Darren Ray there. Andrew's come through. Andrew being chased down by Stuart Ludlow. I'm not sure he got it in the line. Harriet, Lou, Misuraka, Ray, Usher. Too many people. That was Andrew PRT. Harriet Rosethorn, Lou, I think Stuart Ludlow just nicked it from Andrew PRT there. Ian Musk comes through in 33rd. Mauro Desault being chased down by Steve Shrubsall now. I don't think there's enough left to go in this race. No, just too much. Steve nearly had Mauro there. As Zychek's coming through in 36th position, the sprint for the finish. D'Angelo, one of the real robots there. Shannon being shadowed by Robbo there. Have to be careful with these real bots now because the real bots have learned how to sprint. We'll see how Robbo deals with Shannon here. Sits in on the wheel. 180 meters to go. Finish line is in sight. Shannon opens up their sprint and Robbo goes through. Robbo blasts off. Shannon's giving chase though. Shannon's coming back, but not soon enough. Stout in 40th position. Just broken away from Feely. Has a 30-meter gap. He's going to be safe in his 40th position there. Feely comes through 41st, just being chased by Ursula. Wayne with Adrienne. Locked with a bot. As I say, these real bots, they're not like the pace bots that we've been used to. They've learnt. They're slowly taking control. They react. They will sprint. So you have to be a bit more aware in order to maintain your position. Wayne. Adrienne started sprinting there. Adrienne's going for it. Wayne into the draft. Is he able to come round? Adrienne took that Team Real bot. Took the win off Wayne there. Been painful for Wayne to see that happening. The Almeida, Nakia, Cassandra. .500 meters left. Team Realbot versus Almeida here. Almeida tucking in behind, going the draft. Letting the bots do all the work. Almeida comes around the outside, opens up his sprint. Is Nakia going to respond? Almeida up at 8 watts per kilogram nearly. Nakia and Cassandra not responding to that. They've met their match. Almeida comes through in 47th position. Goy in 52nd. Now only got 660 meters of this race to run. Challenging race tonight. The best of the year to date. PRT Thursday is a regular in the calendar. They're always in the in-app calendar on RGT for those who are looking to find a challenge. Don't forget to use the formula to adjust your weight and remember to adjust it back again after the event. You need to adjust your weight before entering the start pen of the race. You can go back out and back in again, but you can't adjust your weight in the race. You can't adjust it when you're sat in the start pen. As Goy comes through in 52nd position. Drop back. We've got Barry Wilson. And just behind him we've got Bev Usher. It looks like Barry holding no prisoners tonight. He had a drop out earlier on, putting all his effort in now to make sure he stays away from Bev. Bev is the father and designer of the courses, Will, and see him many times. He takes part quite often in the blue rides on Saturdays and Sundays at 3 o'clock UK time. Barry quite often rides with his grandson Oliver Payne, which is fantastic to see. Different generations taking part in the races, and it's great to see that the handicap is such a leveler across the ages as well. You do see some of the more senior riders taking part in the PRT handicap races. As Barry puts in a sprint now for the finish, opens up. Bev being chased down by Gio there, but he comes through clear. Rob G comes through as well. I see Sondergaard with some of the real bots here. Sondergaard trying to hold the wheel. Sondergaard followed in by Robin Druitt. I didn't give you much airtime tonight, Robin. Robin raced last week, but intentionally stopped early. Concerned about his knee, but it looks like he's recovered well enough to complete the full course tonight, which is great news. Tom Smith, Team Lou Racing, through. Time of 1 hour. I think it was just under 3 minutes. Johnson. Not entirely sure the comments come through on the live stream, but look, poof, that was a hard one. One of the riders just finished, and yeah, it was. Well, they're always challenging, these races, and I think that's a good sign of a race. You don't want it to be easy. Johnson comes through, 330 meters left to go. And Triple X Racing jersey. Triple X taking part in the ERL Racing League. Happens on Saturdays and Sundays most weekends. One weekend it's a community race, and then the next weekend it's the professional race. As Johnson comes over the line, 1 hour and 4 minutes. I think Johnson may be the last of the real riders up. Oh, Ian Hurst managed to recover. That's fantastic. Sit with Ian for a moment. Ian had a dropout earlier on in the race. Glad he's been able to recover and get back in. One of the nice things about the app, since it's switched over to what we refer to as the One app. Previously RGT was split across 2 devices. You had the mobile phone and also the screen device, but since it's been switched over to the One app, then you have the ability to rejoin races. If you had a technical with the 2 app device, you could actually, on the 2 app device, you could rejoin the races, but it was a little bit more complicated. With the One app now, if you have to restart the computer, you go straight back into the race. It usually gives you the option of you did not finish your previous activity, do you want to rejoin, as long as you do it quite quickly. Not sure if that's what happened to Ian. You get all sorts of things happening in races. We quite often presume that somebody having a power outage is a... Hi Ian. Quite often presume that someone having a power outage is a technical fault, but sometimes you can throw your chain, drop a water bottle, find that you might need a comfort break when you didn't quite expect one, and they're quite easy to see on a real race. That's what's happening. On a virtual race, it's not always obvious that these are the reasons that riders have had to take a short pause. So it's great that Ian got back started and completing the race in a not too shabby a time either. I think it'd take me longer than this to complete without having a break. Challenging course tonight. I did say there was 3 climbs on this course, but there's actually 4. But you know, first one was only a small one. Does it really count? Not sure about that. And while we're watching Ian come through now, we'll just discuss some of the other features in RGT. You can see a lot of the riders have the name above their head. That's a user choosable option. I use that when I'm streaming so I can pick out the riders and name check them as we're going through. You can turn that off in the options if you prefer to have a slightly cleaner setup. But just underneath the rider's name, you can also see the power bar. And the power bar changes colour, and those colours relate to levels above or below the rider's FTP. So it can give you quite a bit of insight into how hard somebody's pushing. If you're behind them and you're sort of going easy and they're in their red power bars, they're above their FTP, you can presume they're going to burn out quite soon. If they're in the cooler colours, if they're in the blues, then they're below their FTP. Recovery, I think green is tempo and in yellow is threshold. I always get them wrong. Basically, the bright red one is the one that you want to watch for, and that's the power one. The really bright red is the ow, this hurts, I can't really do this for very long colour. Ian's part of Team 3R. A lot of the riders have suffixes on their name, so see that squeezed 3R in at the end of Ian Hurst's name there, and that shows you what team he's in. But also a lot of the teams now have got in-game jerseys, so you can see there that Ian's jersey has got 3R on the shorts there, and they are supporting World Bicycle Relief in their jersey, which also the Everesting that RGT is doing at the moment, that's part of a drive for World Bicycle Relief. You wouldn't think really that a bike could make such a difference, but in some of the poorer countries, a bike can mean the difference between a doctor being able to get out to see a patient or deliveries getting made into some of these more rural areas, and quite cheap modes of transport, quite reliable, and unlike many other vehicles, they're quite easy to service. So bikes can make dramatic differences to lives, and not as we often use them for, just for recreational purposes. Also on the left hand side, you can see that they've got the rider names and the rider list. That scrolls constantly as the riders are changing position. We can see in that rider list we've got mostly bots at the moment. They've got Team Real Bot underneath the names. They've got now, the bots used to have unified jerseys. They used to use some of the original jerseys from the RGT game, which were the sort of plain orange and blue jerseys. They now use team jerseys, so you can see there's I think there's a Velocity Vixen one there. There's the Internationals, Training Peaks, OTR, Number of jerseys down the left hand side of the screen there, and that makes them a little bit harder to spot, makes them a little bit more kind of authentic in the game. And you can find that you're racing a real bot now. There's quite a number of people who often find that they've been waving at a real bot and not realised it's a bot. So Ian's just coming now into the last 2 kilometres of the race. I mentioned he's wearing the Team 3R jersey, and he's also riding the Ridley bike. It's a kind of aggressive time trial looking bike, a bit more aero than some of your climbing bikes are. Still using rim brakes though, actually. Oh, noticed that. The bikes in RGT do not affect your power, your ability to draft. They are aesthetics for the game. It enables you to personalize your avatar to make your character a little bit more individual, but it doesn't give you a drafting bonus or make you go faster uphill or quicker descending. They're just there to look nice and to personalize your avatar. We're all given the same weight penalty for equipment, so it really comes down to, in the races, it's just your legs that make the difference, and that's how really it should be. Much more even, much more focused on the racing. To come underneath the Flamme Rouge, all the climbing dealt with now, 489 meters of it, and the countdown ticks towards finish line for Ian now. Again, a couple of waves. Ian, quite often, a lot of the riders quite often pick up the live stream as they're racing. Sometimes when you're in the thick of it, having the live stream going in the background can help you to know whether you can make the gap to the rider in front, or let you know if there's someone chasing on. Back round the corner. We are on a magic road now. The magic roads in RGT are just that, they're magic. They're referred to as this as they are computer generated scenery, computer generated roads. You provide the platform with a GPX, which can be from a bicycle computer or some plotting software. It's often better to use plotting software, as they tend not to have quite as many points in them as the information from a bike computer. So they end up being a bit smoother when they're created into a road. And you can create roads from all sorts of places and events. They don't. Ian's coming over the finish line. Fantastic time, Ian. Well done for continuing after having a power outage. Just going to drop back to Boleno. Polena now, 2.8 kilometers left to go. Unfortunately, won't be able to carry Polena all the way through to the finish line, as already a little bit over our scheduled time for the stream. Polena wearing the next gen jersey there, another Echelon Racing League team. So yeah, Magic Roads, they're created from GPXs that you provide to RGT, and those GPXs can be of pretty much anywhere in the world, any road in the world, and you can share them to RGT. Within a matter of minutes, they will send you back a Magic Road for your library. Hit quick ride, and the whole process can be done in about 10 minutes. You can download the road, zoom it across, it's back in your library, quick ride, and you're riding on a road that's only just been created. The scenery is created generically, and this is the RGT standard scenery, which is quite sunny, and kind of reminds me of the areas in Spain that have cycled. These sort of trees, wooden fences, all computer generated. There is a springtime in Europe, which is more of a cobbled course and more rainy. Not always the most inspiring course for myself. Don't have to look very far to see the rain. Names on the road there. That's another little feature that RGT have added. Names on the road are the actual riders in the course. If you sign up, you've got a good chance of seeing your name emblazoned on the road as you're riding around the course. Just to give you a little bit of extra motivation. We are expecting in the near future to see some more scenery packs from RGT, so not entirely sure what they will contain, but we're expecting perhaps some desert packs, maybe the ocean. We'll see what the future holds. RGT are innovating all the time, constantly adding new little features into the platform, listening to the users, and trying to make it a platform that's as much possible for the users. RGT is free as well. That's a point that I quite often forget to mention when I'm doing these streams. But if you haven't tried RGT and you fancy doing it, you don't have to pay a bean. You can try it for free. You can join the PRT handicap races for free. You can ride on usually a minimum of 2 courses from the real road selection for free. You can take part in a number of training plans for free. You getting this free word? Is it being bandied around a bit? No penalty if you've got your preferred training platform. It's not going to stop you. It's not going to affect you using that. You don't have to make a choice. You can ride RGT. You can take part in some of these races, and you can go back to Bulgars or Ruvi or Zwift or whatever it is that you choose to ride on most of your time. But yeah, don't let it stop you. Don't let finances stop you having a go on the RGT platform, because you can have a real good trial on it for free. Elena is coming up towards the end. We've got Ezekiel sat in on the wheel. Elena's opening up the tank a little bit now and comes through, finish in a time of 1 hour 19 minutes and 10 seconds. Fantastic riding from Plana. Kept on rolling as we see all the guys there lining up. So I hope you've really enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed listening to me waffle, and I hope that you've hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to play you out with the precision rewards, so if you need the details, that you check them out now.